Let's talk about Lost, which is track 8 and the title track of Right Place, Wrong Person. The press information said it was a hopeful track about how getting lost with friends might be okay. And again, as with all of these, I take them with a grain of salt. I do want to say I'm not going to talk much about the music video in this because number one, it's so great it deserves a video of its own, and number two, the storyline of the video feels related to the overall album, but not necessarily exactly the story of this track. So the song starts out with a female voice, and this first part has a lot of wordplay where love, lost, and low possibly could be interchanged. And we know that RM and Suga both love to use wordplay where words sound like each other, so I found that really interesting. Some of the lyrics from this verse are "How do you get in love?" So that reminded me of track 3, Out of Love. I'm out of love, how do I get in love? And then just how do you get love? How do I get people to like me? How do I receive love from people? And then also, how'd you get lost? After that, take it from the love like us. So that makes me think this verse is maybe his friends talking to him. And it starts out with just the one voice, but by the end, there are a number of voices in this part. I did check, and there are 5 background vocalists for this song, which the only other track on the album that has that many background vocalists is Domodachi, which is also about friends. So I also found that interesting. And this song also has kind of a chorus, and I called it a friendly chorus, again, in contrast to Domodachi, where the chorus sounded kind of haunting and unfriendly. So all of that made me think that this verse is his friends talking to him. Just in terms of listening, this is one of my favorite songs on the track because it's upbeat, which is my style. It sounds exactly to me like a night out, drinking, dancing, maybe doing karaoke with friends. It's got a cool beat, there's like electronic noises, and it does remind me of kind of Mark Mothersbaugh, who did a lot of the soundtracks for Wes Anderson movies. The part where the chorus is "It was you," it reminded me of something he actually posted recently on Instagram of like, you were the problem, you were the mountain, you were the obstacle in your own way. And onto the chorus. So the whole idea of the song is that you're lost, and one could think of that as I'm lost, I've lost my way. I also thought of it because of the chorus as in I'm lost in a crowd, which can be a good thing, especially if you're somebody who's in the spotlight a lot. I think being lost in a crowd could be really a relief sometimes. And he says he hit the club, he's never felt so free before. He does say "Your Goddamn Ghost," which made me go on a whole rabbit hole. There are 4 other tracks on the album with references to ghosts or death, so it's now, in my mind, a theme in the album. And the last line, if you just listen to it, it sounds like I hit the club like it was before, but it's actually I hit the cloud, which again sent me on a rabbit hole. There's 2 in this song, there's 1 in the next song, which made me rethink this album art and wonder if maybe, because it's right above Lost, maybe it is a cloud, maybe it's related to Lost, not the song above. So he says hit the cloud instead of hit the club. It's kind of interesting. And then a little later on he says, "See silver cloud, yo hurry." So I'm not sure why silver, but the idea that there's a cloud chasing you and you need to run, there's something bad coming after you. Then we get to probably everybody's favorite part of this song, the "dump it on the ground, pick it up, put it in the trunk" verse, which, I mean, it's good. Everybody jams to it. The first meme I saw about this album was somebody talking about this part. From here on out, actually, some of the words are a little nonsensical, and I wonder if that's intentional because he's supposed to be kind of drunk or out of it, maybe. To me, this whole verse sounds a little bit like when you're the drunk one and your friends are trying to take care of you, like you're just a mess on the ground and they're trying to drag you through, or you're just dancing really badly. Like if you were dancing badly and you were calling the dance moves like "dump it on the ground, pick it up, put it in the trunk." And it ends with his voice almost breaking with the like "dump it on the ground" shit, which just, again, it sounds so much like him. I can picture him singing that in his voice and face of like 10 years ago. So maybe that's kind of a vulnerable version of himself. But then in Korean, he says, "I keep falling, my blood is flowing." So he's injured, he's wounded. And that's why I say, like, parts of this song sound celebratory and fun, but I still don't think he's okay. Then he says, "I got temptation," which led me down so many paths of questions. What is the temptation? Is this related to the temptation that I talked about in the Nuts video? Or the temptation from Domodachi where they say "play the flute"? Is it related to that? Is it temptation to go back to old habits? Is it temptation to go back to people who have hurt you? But he only says it twice and then he moves on, so that makes me think it's just like a little moment of weakness and then he gets back on track. The next verse, the every morning, every night, it is a roller coaster of emotions. Hold on, I wrote down. So he says lifeless, excitement, psychness, which I think might be sickness because psychness didn't make any sense to me. Lonely, lightless, like there's a lot of good and bad feelings in there and it's all smashed together. And during this verse, it starts sounding off. Until this point, it's been mostly an upbeat kind of poppy song. And here it's just, you can just hear like a little noise in the music. You know, actually, I'm probably going to cut this out, but it reminds me of, are there any Lord of the Rings fans here? Like, if you're really into Lord of the Rings lore, you know about how they had like, I forget what it's called, but like the music of the universe. And then the bad people came in and started sowing discord into the music. That's kind of what it sounds like. Vincent, Christina, and Doc are going to get so mad at me for not using the right words, but I was too lazy to go look it up. He also says, I'll never love when I'm low, which makes me think about the earlier part where it was you're the mountain, you're the obstacle. And the whole idea of like, you have to love yourself before you can love others. So then we get to what I call the weird chorus, which the first time I heard it, I was like, wow, this reminds me of, you know, in the Barbie movie when somebody pops up and is like, do you ever think about dying? That's kind of what it sounds like to me. Like, I've never found a song that so accurately captured the feeling of being in a crowd and suddenly having an existential crisis. And finally, it ends with, I got temptation 8 times. And again, just leads you to wonder, what is the temptation here? And it ends with, I got them. First couple times I heard it, I thought he was saying, I got Tim. Like, I wasn't quite sure what ended there, but it's, I got them. So maybe it's, I've got demons, I've got temptations, I've got things that hurt me, but also I've got them, I've got friends. And truly, I think in this song, these are good friends who are supporting him, which I'm really happy for. Like, he talked a little bit about how he kind of had to separate from the other members of BTS a little bit. And, you know, that might sound bad, but it's not necessarily. I have people in my life that I've had to spend time apart with. Sometimes you have to spend time apart to grow, and then you come back and everything's just as good as it was before. You know, you don't necessarily have to be scared of it. The artwork I did want to point out, and it's a little hard to see, it's canned crab, which I thought was so cute because there's all these Namjoon crab jokes out there. And then there's this little guy over here, which kind of looks like a little crab or a lobster head. And then on this page, on the next page, because this one goes across 2 pages, it's like a little secret agent man in the night. So that's why I like to think he went to a club in disguise. And if so, I'm so happy for him. He so deserves that. Like, I hope he got to go get lost in a crowd because everybody deserves to do that once in a while. So yeah, that's track 8, Lost. I think there's moments where he's feeling himself and feeling okay. And there's also a lot of moments where he's not feeling okay. I think we're starting to turn a corner and the next track is gonna really be okay, or at least at peace, which I'm looking forward to because, man, this album has been a roller coaster so far. Once again, this is a series where I'm going through every album on the track because it inspired me so much and I could not stop the words from coming out of my mouth. If you've been watching them all, thank you. And if you're new here, please visit my profile to watch the others. And as usual, I want to know what you guys thought because I've gotten such good insight from a lot of the comments and I really enjoy reading them.